when they went to the Queen to tell her her subjects had no bread. Do you know what she said?
Let them eat cake.
Who took the bomb?
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. I better sit up in my chair. I got to do the thing, too, where I make the chair go up. Chair's like sinks down over a couple days.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I'm sitting like so far below the table.
That's
John
why I threw it in the studio.
John Attackis on Rumble. Welcome. Glad you made it.
All right. Let's see
Okay.
here.
So yesterday, as I was, going about my day basically is like regular day stuff. And then every spare moment, I look at my phone like a normal American doing show prep. I was telling my wife last night, I'm like, it's kind of frustrating because I'm actually looking for stuff. I can't just doom scroll. I was like C-SPAN.
I was describing one of the clips we played yesterday, and then I was like, you know what? Let's just watch it. So I was watching it with my wife. And then after about 20 minutes, she's like, man, how can you do this every day?
How long was the clip?
No, it was just, she watched 20 minutes of the show.
Oh, yeah.
But it was just, a couple minute clip.
Did X not stream? Are we not streaming on X?
Shoot. I guess not.
Well, their loss.
Yeah.
All right, we can concentrate everybody in on Rumble. Make sure you chat on Rumble. Make sure you chat. We've got, like, last month it stressed me out a little bit. We took up to the very last day to meet our chatters goal. Everything else, we blew it out of the water.
It'll be no problem this month, Taylor.
Okay. I hope so. So last night, as I was going through the day, I saw Dan Scavino put out a tweet, it was a tweet that said Donald Trump's about to blow up the internet, and I was like, uh-oh, what could this be? So Trump, of course, posts everything onto Truth Social. So I'm sharing on you got this on my screen here. I'm sharing what Trump posted after the Dan Scavino tweet. Oops. So there's some. I'm gonna have to change my audio here.
293 billion all-time total views.
Yeah, he.
Wow. That's just Trump views on TikTok.
Yep, just
Holy
TikTok.
Smokes.
Yep, 122 billion total views of MAGA, 631 million total views of America First, 32 billion Trump-related peace ceasefire content, 2 billion Trump-related Army 250 parade content, 507 million views on Trump-related Big Beautiful Bill content, 39 billion total views of content covering stock market gains, 363 million total views of content covering falling food gas prices. Most followed political accounts by state. @RealDonaldTrump is the number one most followed political account in every state outside of the national capital region. So I was like, when I saw this, I was like, what? Oh, it's Maryland and DC. Kamala Harris is the leading person that's being followed there. What's incredible about that is I guess this is TikTok. So he's being followed on TikTok in those places. That's pretty interesting.
Sure, but how much content did Kamala even put out on TikTok?
Who knows? I don't know. I'm not on TikTok because, it's Chinese spyware, and our Congress decided that we needed to ban it.
I know. I'm just
and
not
Trump
sure
is
how
just
she even
extending
got
it 90
Maryland.
days at a time.
How'd she even get Maryland? That's what
It's DC.
I know, but how much content could she even possibly consume?
Oh, it's just saying that she's the number one followed account.
Okay.
That's what they're saying.
Okay.
So at first I was like, oh, is there going to be a big press conference? Like what's, maybe Barack Obama was arrested. I got a text message from a longtime listener. Shout out. You know who you are. Sent me an article. I think this might be clickbait. It was a Barack Obama's been arrested article. It's like,
yeah.
I go to X, 2 seconds on trending. Now he's not arrested.
Yeah.
So then he posted this. As previously mentioned, we are giving serious thought to taking
anyone who says anything adverse to the president's interests.
that's coming. we are giving serious thoughts to taking away Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. She is not a great American and is, my opinion, incapable of being so. He posted this nasty picture of her. And then he posts this. This is so funny.
Anyone who stands up to the president, anyone who criticizes the president, anyone who says anything adverse to the president's interests gets the full weight of the federal government brought down.
So for those listening audio, it's a video of Adam Schiff, pencil neck Adam Schiff, with a big long
like a giraffe neck.
Right. So then you get a little of
Democrats
this.
have lost 2.1 million voters. Republicans have gained 2.4 million. That's a deficit that you have of 4.5 million voters.
Trump celebrating. And then this is pretty funny. Now, Trump is a master at kind of doing the make fun of yourself thing. So look at this is Cracker Barrel logo up on the poll vote.
Oh my goodness. He's the best self-trolling narcissist there is, right? This is him with him up at Mount Rushmore. Okay, so then there's this. This is Chris Christie and Pritzker sumo wrestling. Oh shit! Jared's for fire.
Yeah.
Boom.
Oh my gosh. You know, the thing about Trump is, you know, you never want to go to the guy that makes fun of other people, but people make fun of Trump. And he just kind of like doesn't care. You know, like it just kind of bounces off him. He's Teflon Don. But when he throws this stuff back, like, look at this. These memes have been around for a while, by the way. Trump didn't make these. He just posted these. But like, this is Gavin Newsom. Tell me this isn't perfect. There's a little skinny guy punching a punching bag with Trump on it.
I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat. The biggest supporters. These guys are not screwing around.
So then this one, Cracker Barrel. I don't know that Trump's ever been doing that. Although it totally fits it. Yeah. And then, of course, Trump was right about everything.
The reason for the nonstop bloodshed streaming through the streets of Chicago, you saw the statistics, just over Labor Day weekend, another 54 people.
In fact, let's listen to this and let's see if we can tie it into one of my first things I really wanted to show here. I can't full screen.
The reason for the nonstop bloodshed streaming through the streets of Chicago, you saw the statistics, just over Labor Day weekend, another 54 people were shot in Chicago. 58 people, almost 60 people, just in one weekend. The reason for this is because the Democrat leaders, the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, the foolish governor of the state, Pritzker, as well as the senators of the state, Democrat leadership from top to bottom, refused to put the violent street criminals in jail. If you look at the rap sheets, what you will see is arrested and released, arrested and released, arrested and released. They are never kept in jail. So you have a small percentage of the population that are serial criminal killers, gangbangers, hoodlums, and drug dealers that are left to roam free and shoot and maim and rape and mug with impunity from the age of 14 all the way through the rest of their lives. That's the reason why. Here in Washington, D.C., where I'm talking to you from right now, in just 3 weeks, President Trump has turned the most dangerous city in America to the safest metropolis in the United States of America. And how do they do it? By surging in National Guard, by surging in FBI, ATF, DEA, and ICE, and making clear that if you commit a crime in this city, and especially if you commit a violent crime, we will find you, we will lock you up, and we won't stop coming at you until the people who live in this city are safe. President Trump did that, and now he's made this city into a safe zone for everyone.
Man, I saw a thing Trump posted as well. Oh, it's right up here. 1,761 total arrests in Washington, D.C., 195 illegal firearms seized, 92 arrests last night. Illegal firearms seized last night. Okay, 92 people booked into the jail where I was at the jail that these people are being taken to.
A third of them got guns.
Well, a third of them have guns, but 92 people is a lot of people to process in. I processed in with like 4 or 5, and it took like hours and hours and hours. And then 1,761 total arrests in the 3 weeks. That's a third of the jail capacity. I don't know what 5,000 people or something like that. That's a huge number, man. I wouldn't be surprised if they're farming them out to some of the other prisons in Virginia and even up in Pennsylvania. But anyways, pretty incredible stats there. Have I ever told you what the first paper they asked me to sign when I was in prison was, or when I went to jail?
Probably something that gives up your rights.
Well, yeah. So I get remanded and I get shackled up and I get taken to the DC gulag and I go through the end processing and it's just disgusting. I mean, it's like just disgusting. It's just the building that it's disgusting. It's something else. It's like, that's a whole other conversation. But when I finally got to the processing point to where I went and sat down with a guy, and first paper he handed me was, it was your clothing, you've given us your clothing and now they've basically stolen my nice shirt and all my suit and all that stuff. Never get it back. And he's like, sign for your oranges. So I signed for my orange clothing. And then the next paper he put in front of me was voter registration.
Oh, shut up.
I'm dead serious. I was like, I was just convicted 5 hours ago, and now you're shoving a voter registration in my face? Well, yeah, in D.C., convicts can vote. And it was like, even from prison. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Okay.
Wow.
So they just gained like 1,700 more voters. Like, there's a good chance a lot of these guys weren't registered. Just think about that.
Crazy.
I was blown away. I was like, did this really just happened to me? Like, does nobody know how stupid this feels? So yesterday, is this Senator Van Hollen? Yeah, Senator Van Hollen. He was talking and Ted Cruz jumped in. This is not surprising for people like me who kind of have thought through, how do Democrats arrive at their policies? Why do they think the way they think? Like, why is there such a chasm between us when it comes to liberty and rights and stuff like that? Listen to this discussion between Ted Cruz and I think it's Van Hollen.
The notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the creator, that's what the Iranian government believes. So the statement that our rights do not come from our laws or our governments is extremely troubling.
So Senator Kaine said in this hearing that he found it a radical and dangerous notion that you would say our rights came from God and not from government. I just walked into the hearing as he was saying that, and I almost fell out of my chair. Because that radical and dangerous notion, in his words, is literally the founding principle upon which the United States of America was created.
Yeah, the Constitution.
And if you do not believe me, and you made reference to this, Mr. Barnes, then you can believe perhaps the most prominent Virginian to ever serve, Thomas Jefferson, who wrote in the Declaration of Independence, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their creator, not by government, not by the Democratic National Committee, but by God."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a really good lesson here. Okay. Now, at 1776 Live, for those of you that are listening that participate in that program, I mention this all the time about when we claim our rights, we claim our rights. When you're dealing with people who believe your rights are granted by government, that it's a product of the government, you're going to run into walls. Totally. Because to them, it's like, well, you can't be free because, you know, that's not your right. And rights are granted by governments. You've got to have permission to do something and everything and everything and everything.
Yep. Where are your papers?
Yep. Now, the way the Constitution, or excuse me, the Declaration of Independence was crafted was they specifically used creator over God, because we were all created. Like whether we're in a simulation or whether it's the Christian God or whether it's Allah or whether it's, you know, a bunch of sea turtles floating around in space, like it doesn't matter. We're created somehow. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so your rights come from your creator. You can even go as humanistic as be that you were created by your parents, mm-hmm. and you're not bound to any other thing other than life. You know what I mean? And so they wrote that very intentionally, the way they did that. Your rights are self-evident. Your ability to speak, your ability to make choices, they're self-evident. They're unalienable. Like even if a government tries to take these from you, they can't actually take them from you without coercion, compulsion, bargaining, negotiation. Somehow they have to get you to comply, right? And so how do they do that? Well, convince you that your rights come from them and then change them constantly. You know what I mean? So this is a fundamental binary choice, right? You're either on this side or on that side. So these two people can discuss all day long about taxes and and I'm sure they can meet plenty of compromises. But you know where they're never going to compromise? On things on like the sanctity of life. This is where the abortion issue comes down to stuff like this. When you really get down to abortion, you find one side of people just don't believe there's anything special about creation, humanity, existence, sentience. Mm-hmm. It's just, you know, well, we have a government and they'll tell you what it means to be free, you know. You see what I'm saying? The very act of having to ask to be free makes you not free. The fact that someone can grant it to you by definition would mean that you're not as free as the thing that granted you the title.
And why would you want to be in that camp? I just don't get it.
Yeah. So our rights are fundamental. You don't even have to say, you know, they come from God. You can insert those words. That's all. That's fine. But they're fundamental. Whether you're a secularist and your thought process begins with "I think, therefore I am," or if you're a Christian and you say that the name of God is I am that I am, you always arrive at the same thing, I am. Mm-hmm. And once you understand that your individual rights come from your creator, that you're endowed with them, who's your creator? I don't care. Do you know? Do you care? Does it matter? No, but you're standing right in front of me and your rights are inherent. They're apparent, self-evident. Are you talking? Right? Big deal here. What a good little slip up. I
like the way you explain that, because a lot of people will break it down to whether or not you believe in God and whether or not religion's a thing. And you don't even have to get there.
It's totally irrelevant. Yeah. Right. Like I said, if I'm talking with an atheist, well, I think, therefore I am. Right. OK, so the fundamental unit of existence and consciousness and sentientness is I am. It starts with me and what I'm seeing out of my eyes. For all I know, I'm the only actual living sentient being all around. Ron, you might be a complete figment of my imagination. I might be dreaming. They've made movies about this.
I might be a figment of my own imagination.
The Hindus believe we're all a figment of God's imagination. Okay, that's the point. It doesn't matter whether you're arriving at it going, I think, therefore I am, a thinking, reasonable, rational man, or if you have a Christian belief system that believes that God is the I am that I am. It all starts with I am. Right? It doesn't mean that we're all these big G gods. Absolutely not. And it doesn't mean that you have to anthropomorphize or claim who or what God is to get those rights, because they're self-evident. Mm-hmm. The atheist and the Islamist and the Mormon and the Buddhist all have self-evident rights. And our founding fathers were wise enough because of their own divisions, right? You had Catholics, you had Puritans, you had Quakers, you had all these different things, and they could argue for weeks and days on dogmatic things. And rather than do that, they just settled on the simple fundamental truth: all men are created equal, endowed with unalienable rights that are self-evident.
How do these legislators get themselves painted into these corners?
How do who?
Well, this legislator we were just listening to, what's his name, Walls, or I don't even know.
I think it's Van Hollen.
Van Hollen or whoever he was. How does he get himself painted into this corner where you know, it's all about rights, but from the state? How does he do that?
They start there. I mean, they just start there. They start there.
Okay.
Like You know what I mean? Like, I almost wonder, like, everybody's born and there's like this binary, like, you're going to believe and you're not going to believe. You know what I mean? You're going to worship a worldly power and you're going to worship spiritual power.
So I just don't understand how he would read the Declaration of Independence and just get from that.
They hate it.
Okay.
How many times do you have to hear the left hates the Constitution? The left is trying to do away with the Constitution.
This is where I'm trying to get to.
It's based in racism and misogyny and blah, 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 blah. This is nonsense. Your rights come from government, a racist, slavery-oriented government. That's why your rights aren't complete yet. We still got to keep the fight up. See what I'm saying? It's
but this is, and I want to explore that because these people are crackers and they're not based in reality.
Yeah, it says they think the state is the supreme being, and that's exactly right. They don't understand. Look, there's a...
you can't take these people seriously if that's what they believe. You just can't.
Oh, I know. I mean, this is Rush Limbaugh. I was saying this for 30 years. Like, these people are nuts. Real simple, right? You've got the existence of man.
I hope you're not drawing a picture for me because I think I get it. Oh, this is bad radio, Taylor.
So
okay,
you've
what do we
got
got?
Man, and then man creates his existence in its natural form, creates government or political organizations or associations. Okay. And those associations create things like the citizen and the subject, right? So if you're the government, you don't want to acknowledge your creator because something might be supreme to you. If you're a citizen, right, you're always looking up and the government's your daddy kind of thing.
Oh, so the government's always the start, the top down.
No, yes, exactly. But you have to recognize, no, it starts up here. And this is why they hate the Christian worldview, because it makes it so dang clear in Genesis, man was created and given dominion over all the earth. And then he went about naming things. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It started with sentience. It started with man. And he went and created things, and he was created. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't, so the idea that your rights come from the group. No, they don't. They're self-imposed. If I'm a warlord, I make my own rights. Hey? All right. Sapphire Patriot. Good morning, peasants. Smash that like, please. Yes, yes, yes. I am that I am. They think the state is a supreme being and my rights come from God. Yes, my rights do come from God. But if you want to argue with these people, you simply say my rights are fundamental. And those are the words they use. And they're like, yeah, but they're not. They come from the state. No, my rights were fundamental. They existed prior to the state. My rights are the foundation of the state. It's through my inherent unalienable right that I entered into association. It's not the other way around. And as the Declaration of Independence says, on occasion, when those things stop serving us, it's time to move on. Now, this is Canada. This is I think their equivalent of the Surgeon General. Let me check. Oh, police chief in Canada is telling the residents how to behave if there's a break-in in their home. Now, keep in mind, there's two different worldviews here. There's one worldview where we're all created equal and your rights are self-evident. And there's another worldview where your rights come from the government.
In the unlikely event that you find yourself the victim of a home invasion, we are urging citizens not to take matters into their own hands. But we don't want homeowners to feel powerless. We urge you to call 911 and do everything you can to keep yourself and loved ones safe until police arrive and be the best witness possible. This could mean locking yourself in a room away from the perpetrators, hiding, fleeing the home, but don't engage unless absolutely necessary.
But as it stands, we know the best defense for most people is to comply, as you've just heard, a number of safety recommendations.
It's easy in Canada. You just break in and just say, go to your safe room. By the way, can I have the code to your safe and your Bitcoin passwords? Just comply.
Be a good witness.
Be a good witness? Yeah. Don't worry. The state will come in and take care of it.
What the hell is that mean?
If your social credit score is good enough, we'll chase these guys down to the end of the earth. If not, I mean, whatever.
I mean, that sounded to me like be a good witness sounded like just stay alive. If you can stay alive, you're a good witness. Good luck. Don't do anything.
Yeah, but
don't do anything to try to stay alive.
How do they get there? Your life isn't valuable.
Jeez.
Your life isn't any more valuable than that of the criminal. And he might be a victim himself because he comes from a poor neighborhood. And blah, blah, and so we don't want to be picking between victims. Heaven forbid we have to pick between victims. Isn't it stunning? This is what we're really up against. This latest thing with between Oregon, California, and Washington has got me really thinking about why am I here still? But damn, when I hear stuff like this, it's like, well, Canada's out. Yeah. Do you remember, this is now back to season 1 years ago. There was the episode where we played the Superintendent Reichel in Washington State during COVID, and he opens up and he goes, the Constitution was founded on racism and steeped in racism and blah, blah, blah. And this is a great opportunity to essentially move past it.
Yes,
right? With all these emergency orders, we can just move past this Constitution. Like, as Schwarzenegger says, Dad, cover your ears. Fuck your freedoms. Right? Like, yeah, these people don't think your rights are inalienable.
Yeah.
They think they're definable. They think that they think that they control them, that they can suspend them.
They think that their party somehow controls everybody else's rights.
Yeah, totally. They're my common sense applied today. Go to peasantsperspective.com. You can see the essays and you can hear me read it. But I say that the political parties whose only purpose is to win elections, to get power, it's for power, that those two parties collectively have replaced the monarchy. They have the same actions. They have the same, they leverage the mechanisms of government. Remember, the king had a parliament and this and that. And so to get his will done, he had to manipulate the pieces, right? It was the same thing. The parties just, we put our people here and there, and then we get them all to manipulate the pieces. And then they act up and I'm doing this in the best interest of the Americans, but I'm a registered Democrat.
All the while I'm trampling on all of your rights.
Exactly. But, don't worry. The state will take care of you. The best job if you're being attacked is just comply, whether it's the IRS or whether it's a thug.
Make sure you're a good witness.
Just give them the money. Right? Just give them the money. It's just about the money. This is so ridiculous. Now, this can get really crazy. In Germany, they've got an election coming up, and there's this political party there called the AfD party. The AfD party is like, I don't know exactly where it lies on the political spectrum, but they're calling it far right. I'd probably say it's like Germany's equivalent of MAGA, right? Now, keep in mind, MAGA has been accused of being the American Taliban by John Brennan, the former CIA director. So, MAGA could be pretty extreme depending on if you think your rights come from God or not. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, you think your rights come from God? Iran thinks the same thing. Are you an Iranian theocratic regime? Get the out of here, man. Right? Come on. So anyways, they've had this election coming up and they've got 13 of these AfD politicians on the ballot. Something very particular has been going on.
Yesterday I read 4 German AfD candidates who were supposed to sit in the elections died suddenly. 4 politicians that are a part of the AfD in Germany, which supports mass deportations. 4 of them died unexpectedly. I woke up today and it was 6 AfD politicians died suddenly. In the last hour, it is now 7 AfD politicians died suddenly. 7 from one party in Germany which supports mass deportations. And this is before key state elections. To put that into perspective, imagine any party in your country, any one party had 7 of their politicians die suddenly before an election, especially when they're the opposition. Just before elections, a party that's been gaining a lot of traction in Germany. 7 candidates. Yesterday I read 4 German
Whoa.
7 of 13. That's pretty someone should look into that. It doesn't feel very sudden.
Man, it's like, are we in Mexico or Brazil or something? What the heck is going on?
I know, man. It's not, in fairness, what's his name? Dennis Prager says all bad ideas come from Germany. He's like, all bad philosophy, all bad political ideas, all bad governance, it all comes from Germany. Like, most of our woes stem back to somewhere in the Rhineland, right?
No.
So, I don't know. I mean, it's not like Germans historically haven't been opposed to eliminating politicians. Third Reich. You know what I mean? So I don't know what's going on there, but pretty stunning little deal. Again, politics is a very dirty game. And I suspect, with the mass migration, you either have people that absolutely hate their countries, right? They hate the establishment. They hate God. They hate that the authority of the country somehow draws from God, and they want to reestablish it as a dictatorship of the proletariat. The people are rising, or whatever that means. It's just an endless cycle of nonsense. But either way, that's pretty freaky, man. Like, they're supposed to be a first world country. They're just, they just died suddenly. Is no one, what? Like, half the band has died. You know what I mean? Yeah. We haven't even gotten to the concert yet.
I don't know if this is even statistically possible. So,
well, I mean, which jab did they take?
Yeah.
Okay, so another big thing happened yesterday. Again, there's so much stuff happening in this presidency. There was a big press conference that was held with the Epstein victims. This is a tough subject. On one hand, right, I want to just lay waste to the whole Epstein thing and just, oh my gosh, these human sex traffickers. It'd be great to go full Q, right? You just embrace it and just bathe yourself in the scandal. But at the same time, I'm like, there's something else going on here. You've never had a situation where everybody in the world is in cover-up mode, and then all of a sudden the cover-up stops and it's full accountability. This just screams out scam, hoax. Yes. It has to. Take out the knowledge of the salacious content. Take out the fact that we know Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were doing very untoward things. Absolute certainty other rich and famous and wealthy people are involved as well. That's one thing. That's a Department of Justice problem. That should be like, we should be pounding on the FBI for additional indictments, blah, blah, blah. And I understand this disclosure. We should have that too. There's nothing that's being asked in this Epstein thing that is an unreasonable ask. We want to see the evidence. We want to see the people involved. We want to see justice. High fives. I'm with you 100%. I am suspicious of anything that has 212 Democrats supporting it.
And it's all, well, we have some really bad information here, but we can't show you any of it.
Yeah. So you've got 200 Democrats supporting this. Now,
so you just have to trust us as we take some action here that might look a little sus.
Epstein went to the White House during the 90s 27 times. Epstein and Bill Clinton went to the private island numerous times. They flew all around. He's directly accused of very horrible things by Michael Moore from True Pundit, not Fat Michael Moore, the other one. Okay. He's got an FBI deposition that he recorded. He took a victim to the FBI and recorded the whole deposition. I've watched it. Horrible. How is it possible 212 Democrats are like, release everything? You realize this is like, if they release what we believe exists, this is the end of the Clinton dynasty and any kind of reputation they have. I don't know. Maybe the Democrats are trying to shed the dead weight. I don't know. Right. But it seems very inconsistent to me that 2 years ago, Dick Durbin and some of these other guys were like, we can never have the information. It's done and over with. And now they're like, what's Trump hiding? It's wildly suspicious to me. Okay. So, and then you have now you've got at least 3 Trump allies. You had Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Anna Paulina Luna all signed this discharge petition that Massey created for this Epstein stuff. Now, it's going to release almost nothing. This is another one of those like dog and pony shows that's really not going to produce anything other than more redacted documents. The stuff that they posted on the internet after this big press conference yesterday, or not press conference, but the witnesses, it was mostly redacted. And as one person said, 98% of it was already in the public domain. Like, it's just more of the same stuff. I mean, again, big scandal. Who's who though? What's happening here? So let's listen to a couple clips from this press conference yesterday. I listened to the whole thing, and let's listen to a couple clips. This is Thomas Massey.
We demand real accountability. I encourage my colleagues, please. There's over 200 Republicans who have not signed this discharge petition. We only need 2 of them to sign it, and every Democrat will sign it. And that will get us the number we need to force this vote, to pass a law not a polite request to the DOJ to police themselves. No, we need legally binding legislation to force that to happen. And my main call to action is to the people watching these live feeds that are going through these cameras, right? We demand real accountability. I encourage my colleagues, please, there's over 200 Republicans who have not signed this discharge petition. We only need 2 of them to sign it. And every Democrat will sign it. And that will get us the number we need to force this vote, to pass a law, not a polite request to the DOJ to police themselves. No, we need legally binding legislation to force that to happen. And my main call to action is to the people watching these live feeds that are going through these cameras, right?
Yeah. Okay, so we need to vote. We need people to do it. Here's my concern. Again, optics matter. Who organized this? What's this all about? Liz Crokin points this out. Look at the signs held up at the Jeffrey Epstein survival press conference today. Almost every single one of them is attacking President Trump, including many falsely accusing him of being a pedophile. I don't see one name of a real Epstein client or co-conspirator in any of these signs held up. You know, like Epstein's bestie and serial pedophile island visitor Bill Clinton. This should become as no surprise since Hillary Clinton operative, and guess what? Gloria Allred and DNC propagandist, according to DNC as detailed in my tweet below, was part of the charade. So you look at these pictures, you know, here's Marjorie Taylor Greene, Anna Paulina Luna, and then neuter grand old pedophiles. What did they know and when did they know it? Trump and Epstein, Trump and Epstein, Trump and Epstein. Listen to the women. Trump, traitor, right? Again, more of this. Trump, everything's connected to Trump here. So all these protesters that came out, look, another Trump, you know, pedophile, POTUS of the United States, believe the victims. Okay. Do you see the problem with this? Believe like
this is all getting
Trump.
Ready to be a setup for these.
It's totally a setup.
Yeah.
It's totally a setup. And this is without me being like, hey, you know, there's some real victims here and we should probably get some justice, right? It's just ridiculous when they asked. So this was the attorney that years ago had Trump help him do a deposition and it was no problems, right? And they get asked about Virginia Giuffre, who allegedly committed suicide, and how she accused Alan Dershowitz and then recanted that accusal. And it's all shady. But either way, didn't want to answer the question.
You represent Virginia Roberts. She eventually had to recant the allegations that she made against Alan Dershowitz. She alleged that at the house.
We're not done. All right, next question. Next question. Thank you.
Who's next? Why is it that she should be?
Yeah, no, we're not answering your question. Anybody else?
Go ahead. How did the victims feel about the interview that was given to Ghislaine Maxwell?
There's a woman trying to say something. That's better. Okay, ma'am, I think that you had.
How do the victims feel about the interview? That's a better question. Don't ask about the recanting the victim who recanted her story, right? And here's the other thing too. Again, matches made in hell. You've got Jasmine Crockett, who clearly is not anywhere near a conservative ideology, but apparently her and Thomas Massey get along great.
I will have to tell you that I respect Thomas Massey. Clearly, we don't agree on a lot, but where we can find agreement, we do. And the reason that I respect him is because he always shows you who he is. He is what I would consider to be a traditional conservative. He believes in transparency. He doesn't believe in whatever Trump tells him to believe. He believes in things like fiscal conservatism. I will have to tell you that I respect.
He does. So, you know, well, he believes fiscal is conservative, and so do I. Oh my gosh. No, you don't. These people, again, Thomas Massey, I've already had my outs with him. It is what it is. He's a good man, right? He's really, truly an ideal American in all regards. He just, you know, lets major bills like the Inflation Reduction Act out of committee when he could have stopped it, and then complains when he can't stop it on the floor. Why won't my colleagues join me? Well, why would they join you? Right now, again, with this entire thing, it all centers around this attorney who's making this a big deal, Gloria Allred. So let's listen to what she has to say, and then let's learn a little bit about her.
Was that justice? We're overdue for justice. We're not going to be waiting for justice. We are fighting for justice. And let me tell you, no more talk of the word pedophiles, which only means a man who is attracted to children. We're not talking about pedophiles. We're talking about sexual predators and child molesters. Let's get the word in about what the crime was that they committed. Do you? Was that?
So the interesting thing with Gloria Allred, for anybody from the 90s, will remember, she's not exactly got clean hands when it comes to believe all women. Liz Crokin reports shady Hillary Clinton ally Gloria Allred repping Jeffrey Epstein victims. Famous lawyer and Hillary Clinton ally Gloria Allred spoke at the press conference for Jeffrey Epstein survivals today and said she's representing some Epstein victims. This is extremely troublesome due to allegations in the past that Allred has worked against sexual abuse victims and a clear conflict of interest since she's a friend and ally of Epstein's close pal and associate, Hillary Clinton. Furthermore, she's been accused of paying off women to make false sexual assault claims against President Trump. Allred and her firm reportedly have pressured sexual abuse victims to agree to settlements in cases and to destroy evidence, according to the report from the Wall Street Journal. They also claim that they were made to sign agreements barring them from suing their lawyers or publicly raising any issues they had with the firm. Furthermore, the victims were instructed to delete text and video evidence, and some claimed the non-disclosure agreements they were urged to sign were likely to protect the alleged predators. Allred also allegedly recruited, represented, and paid fake victims to make false claims against President Trump. In 2016, Trump called Allred a phony and said she was working with Hillary Clinton's campaign by sending hundreds of letters to current and former Trump employees looking for sexual harassment victims. Allred is not just a low-key Hillary Clinton supporter. She was a California delegate for the Democratic National Convention in 2016. It is a clear conflict of interest for Allred to represent any Epstein survivor, considering that Epstein was not only very close to Bill and Hillary Clinton, both Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell worked for the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton Global Initiative. For those who have been following me a long time know that Clintons used their foundation to sex traffic children. Furthermore, Allred's lawyer, daughter, Lisa Bloom, represented Harvey Weinstein. Bloom was accused of attempting to pay off Weinstein victims and also worked to discredit them by painting them as mentally ill, amongst other things. There are tons of red flags blowing in the wind here with this one. Allred had a shred of dignity or accountability. She would step down as an attorney for all Epstein victims she's currently purporting to represent. So, right, lawyer for Trump accusers call to arms, saying she needs to bring cash to bring down the president. Breaking, ex-apprentice Summer Servos paid $500,000 by Gloria Allred to accuse Trump. Deal went to others too. They even paid off someone's mortgage. What happens when a feminist lawyer paints Weinstein victims as mentally unstable? Rose McGowan claims Gloria Allred's daughter offered hush money over Weinstein rape allegation, excuse me. So, when Donald Trump's like, it's a hoax, it's a scam, it kind of feels like it just might be.
Yeah.
So
kind of feels that way without him saying anything.
Yeah. So apparently these victims all got together and did a little CNN town hall, right? And they were asked point blank about the president.
The victims that just gave testimony?
Yeah. Now they went and did a town hall.
Well, I thought they wanted to be protected and didn't want anybody to know
they're
who
out
they
now,
were.
But like them saying they did a town hall. Here they are, right? So
and I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon. Did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No.
I do have to ask, and I know
there's just up until now, there's really been no there. Fraser says the Epstein thing is real. It is bad. It needs to be taken care of. But being brandish over and over to take out over and over, shouted out other successes being done, taking the oxygen out of the room. Yes, that's true. And pray the rosary daily. Yes, it is Friday. It is Friday Eve. What is this? I trust Massey as much as I trust Chip Roy and Dan Crenshaw. Exactly. Yeah, very low trust environment. Now, while these victims were speaking, here's one of the prominent victims. She's been out for a long time telling her story, or at least trying to tell her story. And there was a jet flyover, and this really offended some people on the left. They felt like Trump had these jets fly over just to disrupt this press conference.
I was horrified when I found out not only had Ghislaine Maxwell been transferred to what's called a low security. It really is like a holiday camp, and then afterwards I got a notification from the Department of Justice.
By the way, prison camps are not a holiday camp. It is not a resort. Okay, that's silly.
Going to happen when it had already happened. This woman abuse children.
We can't hear the noise,
Abused
but
by
obviously
Jeffrey
there's a little
Epstein
jet
and
trip.
Ghislaine Maxwell for over 10 years. Ghislaine Maxwell was present for some of my abuse at the hand of Jeffrey Epstein. She was present, she was complicit, she was enabling, and it is appalling and disgusting. And it's one of my worst nightmares that she not only be transferred, but at the possibility that's very much going around that she might be pardoned. This is not okay, guys. This is not okay.
And I just want to add that I think it sends a very dangerous message to our country, to the young people in our country, that someone that we all know is aware of these crimes could be given a pass.
And just for the last one, the last survivor who just spoke, the last survivor who just spoke, she said that Epstein would brag about her relationship with Donald Trump. Could you please elaborate about that?
Shante.
The microphone.
Yeah, I did say that.
They're all upset because the Jets.
My first trip to the Palm Beach residence, I drove there from the airport with Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey and Ghislaine were always very boastful about their friends.
So allegedly they were boastful about having association with Donald Trump.
I found out.
Which I think that's pretty well documented that, yeah, they're neighbors, but Trump kicked them out and then had anything to do with them ever again. But, well. So what was really happening, unlike what was going around social media that Trump had buzzed this press conference and really ruined it, no. Trump simultaneously had the Polish president over. In perfect timing as they're saluting it, totally not for the press conference, and it was in honor of a fallen World War II pilot that just died in Poland. It was like a legend that helped the American and the Allies. In fact, there's a sabotage scene. Anyways, that's what it was. I just thought it was funny. And there was all these like, Donald Trump is so low. He's trying to drown him out with jets. He's abusing the military. He's such a dictator. It's like, really? Wow. Pretty wild. Okay, yes, Frazier, jets flew over the Polish president. At least that's what I understood. That is correct, as I just showed today. Okay, so Scott Bessent went and had a little lunch with a reporter from Breitbart, and this has got a little bit of diner noise because they're in a diner, but I am always so impressed when I hear Scott Bessent talk. He just seems, he's a steady hand at the till, as they say, right? He just seems to really understand what his job is as the Secretary of the Treasury.
We're out there, and it's the only way to understand what's going on, because I will tell you that we understand that there is an affordability crisis in this country. We had to bend the curve on inflation, and we are laser focused on it. But the only way to do it is to get out and talk to people. What we are not going to do, what we're not going to do is what the Biden people said, is talk down to the American people and say, oh, this is just a vibe session. You don't understand how good you have it. It's great. We understand that we were left with a mess. Everyday Americans, working Americans are hurting, and we're going to be out there talking about how we're going to fix it and fixing it and fixing it.
It's not just a vibe session, Ron.
No, it's not.
However, when we're talking about good vibes.
Oh, well, we're talking about. I gotta wait for it. Such a clocks. Mark your calendars and buckle up for the best NFL primetime football action starting September 4th on Westwood One. You can
legislation.
Catch all
We know
the
it's been a topic for a
hits.
long time.
Last
and
second
you are trying to
heroics
get it
and edge of
resolved
your
once
seat
and for
action that NFL Thursday, Sunday, and Monday nights have to offer. Whether you're tailgating, driving, or chilling at home, don't miss a single snap. Listen on the NFL app, the Westwood One Sports app, at westwoodonesports.com, or just say, Alexa, open Westwood One Sports. If it's the NFL, it's on Westwood One.
I'm always waiting every day for my dad, who pretty much watches the show every day live, to be like, you turned on Alexa, Ron, and now I've got sports streaming. Oh, that's kind of fun. Yes, I am getting a little excited for football season, just because it's sports, man. It's fun to watch. It's American Gladiators. So this is Mark Warner, U.S. Senator for the Democrat Party, who's really upset. Trump has reached a new low. So behind the scenes, we can just see the kabuki theater, right? We kind of see what it is. But behind the scenes, there's really stuff happening. And it's kind of weird because it's like, how does it actually work out? So this is a senator. They have real jobs. So even locally, like when I met the local family whose son was being held in Venezuela, they went and met with Patty Murray and had a great conversation with her. They were like, well, she really tried to help. She made the phone calls. Like she really did do something. I think she really did do something to help them. Right. She affirmatively helped them, probably knew they were conservative or whatever. So these senators, even though we kind of oppose them on the kabuki theater side of things, like they consider themselves good people.
Okay.
Right. They consider themselves helping. Like there's a reason they get to the power where they've got. It's not all because they did something bad and they're, being blackmailed into power. No, I mean, they've got intentions. So this is Mark Warner, who's going about his Senate business. This is a quiet meeting. He's on a committee with oversight. He's going to go meet with the geological survey or whatever. And that meeting got canceled and he's upset about it.
Trump administration hits a new low. My job is
it'll buffer through it.
Former chair and vice chair now of the Intelligence Committee is to go out and visit with the folks who work in the Intelligence Committee. I had a long scheduled meeting this Friday with the National Geospatial Agency, group I've met with many times, until that wacky Laura Loomer, the crazy 9/11 denier, who now is calling most of the shots, at least in the security domain, has said, got to cancel that meeting. She's not elected anything. Loomer is a right-wing craze. Everybody in the security arena jumps to her beck and call. So Pete Hegseth never had the job in the first place, bowed down, and my ability to do oversight, my ability to meet with my constituents, my ability to do my job, they're not going to let me have that meeting. This is not the end of this. I've held these meetings under Trump, under Biden, and we will find ways to meet and do oversight. Again, will anyone stand up inside the Trump administration and say, this is a bridge too far? I doubt it, but we'll stay tuned.
We will find ways to meet and do oversight, even in the back alley exchanging classified information. So Laura Loomer has been doing the vetting. And that's what he's talking about. So basically, whoever he was going to go meet with, she turns around and realizes, they're too political. They're too much of a deep state actor. And she's called out so many of these people. I don't know how many scalps Laura Loomer has, 12 people that she's knocked out of their positions just by doing what is open source research, right? So the other thing that happened yesterday that was really interesting was Trump authorized the destruction of a Venezuelan boat being operated by Tren de Agua members that was smuggling drugs. And they did it off the coast of Venezuela. So do you remember I talked about how there was the armada of all these Venezuelan boats, the Maduro militia or whatever, Militia Maduro. And it's just these open bow boats, but they're sea boats. They've got you know what I'm talking about. This one that I saw had 4 motors on the back. So
these are like drug running boats.
These are drug running boats. Yes. These are made to go fast and haul a load. So it got shot yesterday from the air, blown up in place, 11 people on it, sunk to the bottom of the ocean. Bye-bye. Right.
Yep.
So
we played the video, I think, yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. So Tom Holman has this to say. He says the strategy is changing when it comes to going after the cartels and the drug dealers.
Here. All right. Mr. Holman, let's just get this out of the way. Is ICE planning to steal voting machines in the next election? Yes or no?
No. ICE is making this country safe again. ICE saved Los Angeles. ICE is making California safer. Governor Newsom should be thanking ICE. And as far as cartels, Jesse, you and I were together at the Republican National Convention before the election. I stood on stage and said, President Trump will designate these cartels terrorist organizations, and he will wipe them off the face of the earth. I meant it. President Trump is doing that. The cartel's existence in the United States is very limited.
So when you see strikes like this, we're showing it on the screen. That's a little speedboat with tons of narcotics coming to our coastline. How easier of a job does it make yours?
Makes it a lot easier. President Trump designated these groups terrorist organizations. And why? Because they have killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined. Under Biden, 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl that came across that open border. So President Trump's right. They're terrorists, and we're going to take them out. He's bankrupted them already. You just said it. They made record amounts of money under Biden, smuggling aliens, sex trafficking of women and children, and dope. And with a secure border, we're bankrupting them. Now we're going to attack them. We're going to play the away game. You know, we're tired of playing the home game. We're going to play the away game now. And President Trump is committed to ending the cartel violence in this country. Look, they're sending little cartels now in 42 countries across the globe. Again, their time in the United States is limited under President Trump.
Yeah, they're a disease. You got to stop it. The show of force that the president is orchestrating.
So clearly, if you pop a boat off the Venezuelan coast, anybody else wanting to take a boat off the Venezuelan coast is going to be slightly deterred. Because I think that it's easy. I don't know. In my mind, it's easier to get them at the source where you know they're all coming from one spot to when they diffuse out and, you know, come in at a million different points of entry. The thing that, if you listen to Catherine Austin Fitts, she talks about how the drug and human trafficking and gun trade, like this really illicit, illegal substance trading that happens internationally, is propping up the financial system, right? The areas of the financial system that don't make money get propped up by this drug money. It creates shadow budgets, which allow them to make profits where they wouldn't otherwise be making a profit. It's a big problem. Catherine Austin Fitts goes into great detail about this. So they're going after the cartels. I like that. They're going after the Fed at the front door, going after the governor. There's a lot at stake here. If Catherine Austin Fitts, what she proposes is accurate about how tied in the drug business is with the financial system itself, right? And the money laundering that goes on and how they rely on these billions of dollars being kind of cycled through the system the way it is. It's renewable money. Taking out the cartels could have real domino effects that we can't really account for. You know, that's my thought, but not opposed to it at all in any way. Rand Paul, however, he's a little wishy-washy on it. He's not really sure if we should be doing that. I mean, he opposes taking out the drugs, but I just don't know about doing it, you know, somewhere else.
Of that cartel boat, which, you know, I personally think that's a brilliant deterrent to this kind of activity. Is that how you see it?
You know, I guess, you know, it's hard to have any sympathy for drug dealers, you know, trying to import product into our country. But at the same time, I guess you might ask the question, you know, where does it end? Are we the world's policemen, the international policemen? Are we going to be blowing people up off the coast all around the world trying to interdict? Really, I'm not sure we have the finances to be the world's policemen. So on the face of it, sounds good. Nobody's going to have any kind of lost love for a bunch of drugs going down in the ocean and killing some gang members. But at the same time, really, where does it end? And is it really the constitutional duty of our government to be, you know, policing international drug trade everywhere around the world?
If it's Tren de Aragua sending drugs into this country, though, I you know, that there's obviously a line there. I don't think we're going to be bombing people taking drugs from Africa into Europe, right?
Well, no, if it's coming into our country, I think interdicting drugs coming into our country, absolutely, there is a U.S. interest in that. But that's a real question. You know, I don't know the details of where the drugs were going. They may well have been coming to our country, but this was done off the coast of another country. So it is a little bit different. It is unique. Hadn't been done really in decades where we invade, we have a kinetic action against.
He's thinking about his words there.
Their territorial waters.
It hasn't been done in, you know, decades. Iran, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan.
You know,
I mean, it hasn't been done in weeks. It hasn't been done in weeks.
And don't be using the word invasion.
It hasn't been done in decades. Didn't we just bomb Iran? We don't have to be the world's policeman. Yeah, says everyone since ever. Meanwhile, let me police you harder, world. He's right? We always have to consider, okay, we've got this power. Now you're bombing drug dealers off someone else's coast. We haven't declared a war, but it is a war. We all know it. It's the emergency powers. All the Constitution, so much power has been delegated to the president. Emergency power. We're about to have a national emergency over housing prices. You know, here's Marco Rubio responding to why they did it and why it's effective.
The United States has long, for many, many years, established intelligence that allow us to interdict and stop drug boats. And we did that. And it doesn't work. Interdiction doesn't work because these drug cartels, what they do is they know they're going to lose, 2% of their cargo. They bake it into their economics. What will stop them is when you blow them up, when you get rid of them. So they were designated as what they are. They are narco-terrorist organizations. So the same information and the same intelligence mechanisms with maybe a higher focus was used to determine that a drug boat was headed towards eventually the United States. And instead of interdicting it on the president's orders, he blew it up. And it'll happen again. Maybe it's happening right now. I don't know. But the point is, the president of the United States is going to wage war on narco-terrorist organizations. This one was operating in international waters, headed towards the United States to flood our country with poison. And under President Trump, those days are over. The United States.
There was a video going around with Judge Jeanine Pirro in D.C. who was walking through this warehouse with barrels and barrels and barrels and barrels and barrels of fentanyl precursor. And she's like, we just confiscated this, took it off the streets, you know. And I was like, in D.C.? I mean, it was like an industrial barrels, like 50 of them. Huh. I'm like, this is precursors just in, like, she's just in D.C. I was like, wow. Wow. There's a lot of precursors. You know, if like a little pinhead of fentanyl can kill you, I'm looking at 50-gallon drums. It's something.
That's enough to kill every American twice.
Yeah. Military precision is amazing. How could drug runners feel confident to send another boat, says Pray the Rosary Daily? Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, interdictions like, what's the worst case scenario? I go to one of those resort camps that the Epstein survivor was talking about, or my high-powered attorneys get me, you know, asylum or extra, you know, whatever. Nope. Dead, bottom of the sea.
Well, and I'm also, you know, this is a totally separate topic, but I watched that video like 50 times and I cannot see the munitions that hit that boat. And I was like, ooh,
coming in hot. Coming in fast.
I was thinking, is this really a missile like a Hellfire or something? Or is this one of those directed energy weapons?
Oh, good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Carlitos, one of our listeners, was a Coast Guard pilot.
Oh.
And he says, I used to fly missions off the coast of Venezuela and Colombia in the Coast Guard. We would have to chase go-fasts, which is one of those little boats, until they ran out of gas. But sometimes they would get away. I like the new strategy better. Yeah, right? Seriously, like, I got a lock. Pew! Honestly, if we use our assets and resources like that, yeah, the cartels play for interdiction. The cartels play for the fact that they can, you know, we're pinched. Well, there's more drugs where this came from, so we'll give up give ourselves up and work through the system. Yeah, our families will be taken care of. This is just part of the gig.
Right.
You know, no, you're dead. Like, you're dead. That's going to be, I imagine that'll have some residual effect. I mean, you know, maybe eventually, a couple dozen more will go fast getting knocked out like that, and they'll second guess how they're going to exactly get the drugs off the coast of Venezuela. So Robert Kennedy Jr., in response to all of this CDC firing and all of the cleanup that's been going on there, he gave this little speech yesterday, or released this little video, kind of talking about the role of the CDC and how they're trying to bring it back to sanity and how it kind of really lost its way with the COVID stuff. So he lays it all out there. And again, this is one of those things where we, the people, have to have some discernment here. There's a lot of voices saying this is chaos, this can't be, these are trusted institutions. But then a lot of us have looked at these institutions for years now and been like, dude, the decay and the rot is obvious. Okay. Yeah. So this is RFK coming in, trying to clean it up from the inside. He's having people tuck tail on him. You've got, and we're going to play a Republican senator in a minute who's like, well, I don't know, maybe Bobby Kennedy is just doing a little too much over there.
Well, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS secretary. The CDC was once the world's most trusted guardian of public health. Its mission was simple and noble: protect Americans from infectious disease. But over the years, the agency drifted. Bureaucracy, politicized science, and mission creep corroded that mission and squandered the public trust. We saw the consequences of putting dogma before science during the prolonged COVID mandates of the Biden era. Cloth masks on toddlers, 6-foot distancing with no scientific basis, boosters for healthy children, lockdowns that wrecked our economy, and the suppression of low-cost therapeutics in favor of experimental drugs that were ineffective. The CDC implemented a school lockdown policy that was written by the teachers union and sold to the public as science. This was the template for the politicization of science that became pervasive across the agency as the agency put politics ahead of evidence-based medicine. The toll was devastating not just for our children, but to public health. America has just 4.2% of the world's population, yet we suffer nearly 19% of the world's COVID deaths. We literally did worse than any other country in the world. That failure was no anomaly. For years, the CDC.
Which, by the way, the fact that we did worse than any other nation in the world, to me, screams out. It's like 7 politicians dying right before an election from one political party. Hey, this feels like it was a biological attack. We did substantially worse than every other country.
Uh-huh.
Oh, but Australia had better lockdowns. That's why. Right.
Has presided over rising chronic disease and declining life expectancy. Trust has collapsed. Only a tiny fraction of healthcare workers and parents now follow CDC guidance. President Trump has asked me.
That is the key. Only a tiny fraction of parents and healthcare providers even follow the guidance because there's no trust.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the point of these big institutions that have no trust? Because what comes when you lose trust comes force, compulsion.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't trust me, if you don't just do it because I said so, this is a parent, right? Dad, why do I have to do it? Because. If they take the answer, you're like, oh, okay. If they say, well, because isn't good enough. Well, let me show you the reason why. You start taking off your belt and chasing the kid around. You know what I mean? That's the reason why you're going to do it, because I said because. Because you got to bring out the force. You got to pull out the guns, the big, heavy machinery, the compulsion, right? If you can't win me over with education, with information, with evidence and science-based conclusions that are duplicatable and consistent, and you can't do that, but you want me to do things like put a cloth mask on a baby?
Or if you won't even do the study to begin with.
You won't even do the study to begin with, and then we'll censor you and take you off the internet if you even ask the question why they're not doing the study?
Yeah, you can't even ask the question.
So, yeah, the CDC was one step away from mandatory everything. CDC was one step away from, because I told you so, come here.
Well, Washington, Oregon, and California are taking their own steps to push this now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're all banding together. I don't know how this is even legal. Can you have governors?
Your rights don't come from your creator, Ron. They come from government. We'll tell you what is illegal. Cower. You know, the best self-defense is to comply.
Oh.
Right? We'll figure it out after the fact. Just drink the Kool-Aid real quick, okay, says Jim Jones, and we'll figure it out after.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or that trust and return the CDC to its core mission. We've already shown what a focused CDC can achieve. When measles flared up this year in Texas, we surged vaccines and therapeutics and staff to the outbreak's epicenter. The outbreak ended very quickly. That response was not pro-vax or anti-vax. It wasn't ideological. It was effective. And effectiveness will be the watchword of our leadership. We also know that chronic disease made COVID especially lethal in America. Infectious and chronic illnesses are connected. The very tools we use, vaccines, antibiotics, therapeutics, save lives, but they can also cause harm for some patients. That truth can no longer be ignored. The path forward is clear. Restore the CDC's focus on infectious disease, invest in innovation, and rebuild trust through transparency and by restoring competence. To achieve this, the CDC will protect against threats with advanced detection tools, strengthen infrastructure at home and abroad, modernize data in labs, rebuild the workforce of disease detectives, and apply gold standard science to every recommendation. And we're going to empower states and communities on the front lines. We've already shaken up the leadership and removed conflicts of interest. The American people elected President Trump, not bureaucrats, to set health policy. That's the MAHA commitment in action. Most CDC staff are honest public servants who are trying hard to accomplish their jobs. With this renewed mission, they can do their jobs without politics or fear. Together, we will rebuild CDC so that it will once again be the world's most trusted authority on infectious disease. Thank you.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Shaking things up a little bit, but, you know, it's not making everybody happen. For example, our beloved Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, he's got a little bit else to say about this. He thinks things aren't going so well over there. He doesn't know what's going on, but it's just chaos.
Restore that. And so far, I don't see where Secretary Kennedy has done that. All I see over there is, at the moment, is a multiple vehicle pilot. I'm not saying that Secretary Kennedy is wrong or right. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not qualified to say. I'm just saying that, when I met with Bobby in my office, I told him, I said, you're job number one is to restore the confidence of the American people in the institution of public health in America. And so far, he hasn't done that. All I see is chaos. Now, he may be completely right. I don't know. I'm not qualified to say. But it seems to me that we ought to be able to find as many accomplished doctors and scientists as we have in America. We ought to be able to find a group of professionals who don't have a political axe to grind one way or the other to talk to the American people and say, here's the best state of science, of the science that we know. And that's all I'm interested in. I'm not interested in somebody's political agenda, one way or the other. But what I'm most interested in is restoring the confidence of the American people in public health in America. And so far, that hasn't been done. There's just been too much chaos. It's a goat rodeo over there. and I don't think it's serving the department. It's certainly not serving the American people.
So there's a huge movement to try to remove RFK Jr., to try to remove Pete Hegseth, and ultimately try to get at Trump. Which, by the way, Catherine Austin Fitts, I didn't mention this in the Epstein segment, but Catherine Austin Fitts, and I believe we played the clip on the show, said she believed the, quote, deep state would use Epstein to get Trump out by the end of the year, that they can and will be able to do it with the Epstein bottle scandal, which is why Trump's like, this is just another Democrat hoax. The objective is to get me out of office, and I got nothing to do with it. So what if I know some other rich people? You know what I mean? So interesting. So Senator Kennedy also did this on the Senate floor. He showed a picture of the alien from the movie Aliens and said that you might become this if you buy food from Walmart.
Mr. President,
I'm gonna speed this up just a little bit because he talks so slow.
Photograph of the alien from the movie Alien. This is what you could end up looking like if you eat some of the raw frozen shrimp being sent to the United States by other countries. What? Now, let me tell you what I'm talking about. In late August, the FDA found that raw frozen shrimp from Indonesia was being sold in Walmart, specifically in Walmart stores in Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Texas, and West Virginia.
Every one of those states is a Republican state. Every one of them. Every one of them. That is the Republican bloc. That is the MAGA bloc of states right there. Every one of them.
It was being sold under the Walmart label called the Great Value label. If you eat it, how could you end up looking like the alien in the Alien? Because the shrimp was radioactive. I kid you not. It had a radioactive isotope in it called cesium-137. It'll kill you. Even if it doesn't turn you into the alien if you eat this stuff, I guarantee you'll grow an extra year. That was bad enough. Obviously, the FDA issued a recall. A few days later, it happened again. The FDA and NOAA, which I'll talk about in a second, found that there were 26,460 packages of shrimp cocktail and 18,000 bags of frozen cooked shrimp being sold, once again, at Walmart and at Kroger's throughout the United States, containing the same radioactive isotope. How could this happen in America? This is unconscionable. I'll tell you how. Because that shrimp from other countries, which don't abide by the same rules that we abide by in America, which if you eat it will turn you, it may turn you into the alien, and at a minimum will cause you to grow an extra ear. It's not being inspected. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be inspected by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. We call it NOAA. It's part of the Department of Commerce. And yes,
I'm not exactly sure why NOAA is doing food inspections, but okay. I thought they measured ocean temperatures.
Some of it, about 1%. On a good day, 2%. The United Kingdom inspects 50% of the foreign seafood coming into its nation. Even China does a better job than the United States of America. This is unconscionable, Mr. President.
So we've got radioactive shrimp at Walmart
that'll turn you into predator aliens
or grow a third ear, guaranteed.
Or what?
So that's the FDA, which falls under HHS. Okay, so the FDA's got some problems. The Department of Commerce and NOAA's got some problems. They're not working together very well. Senator Mullins mentioned something else, and this goes down to the autism factor.
But let's go back to this and say let's just use a number of 1 in 10,000 your age. Now, we're a little bit different in age. I'm not going to say how old you are, but you look great for your age. I will say that 1 in 36, that's not a pandemic, then what is? 1 in 36, and it used to be 1 in 10,000 have autism now? Can any of you guys with a straight face say that we shouldn't look at every aspect to what we're putting in our kids, be it from the food to the vaccines? 1 in 36. That scares the living daylights out of me. With 6 kids, I could have 36 grandkids. I'm just doing the math. I'm the youngest of 7. My family seems to be pretty active in that area. So I'm not necessarily trying to be funny, but I'm being very serious, guys. We should support the fact that Bobby's questioning it. He's not saying he's against it. He's saying he's going to question it and let the studies follow where they will. And God bless you for doing that. Thank you.
We went from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 6,000. Isn't that crazy? Now, for a little comedy break here, I want to show this one clip. I eliminated this clip, but I think it's worth showing since we're at.
I thought he said 1 in 36.
It was 1 in 10,000, and now it's 1 in 36.
Right.
So that's what he's saying. How is this not a pandemic? Like, how is this not a problem? So this clip I'm going to play is Theo Vaughn, and he's interviewing a kid from the Amish community, and he's asking this kid from the Amish community about autism and ADD. And this was just a funny interview. It's fun to listen to.
Are you allowed to flirt at school?
Are you allowed to flirt at school? What?
Theo.
But I had this, I'll say here. Come on.
I haven't seen this one yet. This is one that I was wanting to queue up.
Yeah. Theo's just funny.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to flirt at school? Like, at some point, do people feel some attraction? Like, do you think like
maybe, but so the school I went to, I couldn't really do that because pretty much everyone I went to school with was either first or second cousin.
Yeah, that, brother.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like it's a tough world.
It is, brother, and that's why we got to do some of this redistricting and rezoning.
Yeah, we gotta rezone, like move out, move in. That's what a lot of Amish been doing around us, and moving out to different communities. I guess it's a good thing. Then you can spread the family tree, because sometimes the tree becomes a bush.
Yeah,
they
sure.
Like intertwine with each other.
Marriages between cousins do occur.
Not first cousin, second cousin does.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for sure, buddy.
But that it's not really forward. Like, hey, you can marry a second, but it does happen.
But if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
You're already close. You might as well be closer.
Yeah, that's right.
Obviously, when cousins get together, things can get crazy.
Yeah.
And you might get one of the Lord's remixes out there.
Yeah.
Or disabled, they call out here in America.
Yeah.
Mentally disabled.
Yeah.
Autism, Amishism. I'm sure you guys are seeing it.
Well,
somebody will just raise a barn with their eyes, just put a nail through a 4x4 with just the blink of an eye.
I don't know if we have autism, but we have some with Down syndrome. Yeah, because my great uncle, he has Down syndrome and stuff. He's he's 57 years old. So.
And he's awesome, huh?
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. Because
did you say my
Are you allowed to flirt?
57? He's a great grandpa. He has not autism, Down syndrome. He's like, well, we don't really have autism, but we do have a Down syndrome person. A singular. Some of God's, what are they calling God's special
remixes? You raise your barn with your eyes.
Drill a nail in just with focus. It's great.
Theo.
Okay, Ron Paul was on CNBC. It's funny how these guys have oh, today's my media day. I'm going to be appearing everywhere. But he's talking about Anthony Fauci. This isn't over.
Ooh.
This COVID stuff, the FDA, the CDC, the NIH, everything Robert Kennedy's Jr. trying to redirect those and put them back onto science instead of dogmatic stuff is a big deal. And Rand Paul, he's been all over Anthony Fauci.
No, I wanted you to come on in July, and I told you, and this was after you once again renewed a criminal referral for Anthony Fauci. This is something I've been talking about a lot because I saw the smoking gun of him trying to get his colleagues to all say there's no way this was a lab generated virus, and there's a very good reason for him to have done that after he knew full well that the United States had funded some gain of function research, and it was walking and quacking, and it had web feet, and everybody knew, and that was. I think that deserves who cares what I think? But what are the chances that he's held to account someday at this point?
Yeah, big question is the auto pen, whether auto pen pardons are constitutional or legal or lawful. We do know that when President Obama first signed a law by auto pen, when he came back from his trip to India, he quickly did sign it in person to make sure it was seen as being legitimate. So I think there is some question there. I can tell you that we are pouring through millions of bits of data on Anthony Fauci. There will be a subpoena in short fashion, and there also will be news in the next week or two about things that we have found from poring over the records. There's going to be significant revelation about Anthony Fauci in the next week.
Okay. What do you make of the new of RFK Jr. and some of the new rules and some of the new developments we've seen with vaccine? That's what I think one of the downfalls of vilifying Anthony Fauci too much is that it plays into some of the the people that are total anti-vaxxers, which I don't know if that's there's somewhere in the middle, isn't there in the way we conduct policy?
Well, I'm not anti-vaccine, but what I would say is the same way there's a Trump derangement syndrome, there's a Kennedy derangement syndrome. There are some very specific issues we should discuss and where I think the facts are on Kennedy's side. Should we mandate vaccines for 6 months olds for COVID? So we have to ask, what are the risks and what are the benefits? Are any kids dying from COVID currently? I think no healthy kids are dying. And in fact, if you go back through the entire pandemic, about 200 people in the entire country of 350 million people in America, about 200 under 18 died. Virtually everyone had a serious disease also. Virtually no healthy children died. When they did the studies on this, they could not prove that it reduced death or hospitalization because so few people under 18 were going to the hospital or dying that they couldn't prove a benefit. In Germany, they looked at every child under 18 and they had no deaths among healthy children. And so in Europe, they quit promoting this. I think the age is 12 and above in Europe. So these are really honest debates. And I think the extremists are the people on the side of every vaccine is good all the time, the more the better. We don't have to prove risk and benefit. We do know that under 18, really under age 25, there's a risk of myocarditis, presents with chest pain and elevated cardiac isoenzymes, like a heart attack. It's not a heart attack, but this happens in about 6 out of 10,000. That's a small number from the COVID vaccine. But what is the chance of death? It's smaller than that. So you should be presented with these facts and given an alternative. If the CDC says it should be 6 months, many states just get lockstep and they put it into their school program and essentially it becomes a mandate because it's hard to go to school anywhere.
Right.
Even the private schools follow this. So I'm against the mandates. And I think Kennedy, a good point.
Yeah, he's bringing up good points. Got to be assessed. And like he says, there's a RFK derangement syndrome. He's anti-vax. We can't have that.
Yeah.
What do you got for us, Ron?
Oh, got some more sports.
Woo!
Want to hear about
season? Peasants love sports. Bread and circuits.
Well, the countdown is over. The rivalries are real, and the road to the championship begins on August 23rd. Westwood Sports brings you every electrifying moment of NCAA football, from the first snap to the final whistle. Top teams, big plays, unforgettable Saturdays. Don't miss a second of the action. Listen to NCAA football on rumble.com, the Westwood One Sports app, on westwood1sports.com via Westwood One station streams or by asking Alexa to open Westwood One on sports. If it's sports, it's on Westwood One.
I say this every time, but I'm convinced that last sentence in there is to get it to automatically set. Alexis, download Westwood One and play the first season of football. Okay, so this is James Comer talking with Maria Bartolomo, talking about Biden's use of the auto pen and basically how they're going to get to the bottom of this. Anthony Fauci is not in a good spot.
Also, I think that all the pardons and executive orders, especially the ones during the last 4 or 5 months of the Biden administration, I think they're all in peril.
So then it could be that the pardoning of, for example, Dr. Anthony Fauci is not legitimate.
Exactly. That's correct.
Okay. Because this could lead you into all sorts of other investigations.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that there's a letter from the Merrick Garland Department of Justice to the White House saying that, you can't use the auto pen on legal documents, and they continue to do it thousands of times after that, like they were in a mad dash going out the door, what some people would say, burning it down on the way out. I think that that's even more evidence that would suggest that the overuse of that auto pen probably wasn't the best legal route for the Biden administration to go.
Wow, that is incredible.
So all the pardons and the executive order, especially in the last 4 months, are in peril because Merrick Garland wrote a letter and said, hey, you can't sign legal documents with the auto pen. It's for like letters back to elementary school kids and commencement, things. It's not meant for legal documents. Like there's a significance to your hand, your commercial energy, the wet signature. There's something to that, right? Wow. Because they signed so many pardons of federal prisoners that got out. I got a phone call from one of them, called me up, right? What do you do with those people? It's one thing to be like, okay, Anthony Fauci, your pardon's reversed, and Adam Schiff, your pardon's reversed. They're not in prison. They're not in the system. We're going to get a fresh start over. But what about a guy who just spent 9 years in prison on a 12-year sentence on crack cocaine charges, had his sentence adjusted, so it was equal to cocaine sentencing, and would have had a 5-year sentence and has now been released? Does he got to come back and serve the last 3 years of his sentence?
I would say there's a difference between those two parties. So the difference is that one of these parties is sitting at the levers of power. The other one's not.
Oh, I agree. Like as a reasonable person, I would go, oh yeah, you can reverse the J6 committee pardons and the Anthony Fauci pardon. You can reverse those, but these other little nobodies who got released, we'll let them stay out. Or do you go review those and then Trump recommutes their sentences? You remember one of the people that was released was a judge who was taking kickbacks from a juvenile detention center that he was sentencing kids to that were proven to be innocent. A couple of them actually committed suicide and were seriously injured inside this prison that they shouldn't have been into, a juvenile hall. And the judge was taking kickbacks, and he had a prison sentence and he got pardoned. So does that guy got to go back and finish his 20-year sentence or whatever, right? Or is he just out? Because this is so complicated. It's so complicated. If you undo the J6 committee pardons and the Anthony Fauci pardons, you might have to send 1,000 prisoners back to prison that we don't know their names. They're just random dudes that got screwed over by the crack cocaine laws. Obviously, we could look at the judge and be like, oh, yeah, he's got to go and this person's got to go. But what do you do? Go through one by one? It's almost like all those extra commutations made it more and more difficult to actually deal with the few that are obvious abominations.
Well, I think that was part of the point.
Exactly. It was let's abuse this so that they can't undo it.
Yeah.
Right. If it's just one or two, we can undo a couple, but it's thousands. It's executive orders that are in effect.
Right.
Well,
it's make the problem too big to solve.
Exactly. Now, back to the vaccine issue. Florida is taking a huge step forward. Here's their Surgeon General.
What I'm most excited about is an announcement that we're making now, which is that the Florida Department of Health, in partnership with the governor, is going to be working to end all vaccine mandates in Florida.
All of them. All of them. All of them. Every last one of them. Yeah.
Let's move to Florida, Ron.
I think
no
you know what's happening
tax,
here?
good weather.
So I see what's happening here. These guys have seen what's happened in Texas, Austin specifically, and they're like, man, we need some of that cheddar. Let's get people to move here. We can do it. All we have to do is make our state free.
Yeah, the free state of Florida, as they call it. It's more and more attractive every day.
Yeah.
I mean, more and more attractive every day.
They're trying to pump their state full of new citizenship.
You think you can get your wife to go to Florida?
No.
All right. So that is it for the main show today. We are going to jump over to Rumble Private. If you're a Rumble Premium subscriber, you can stick with us. Please do. If we can hold our minimum viewership over to the next private, we might even throw one more ad in. Won't that be great? We know you guys love the ads. They're shameless.
Even if they're shameful.
Even if they're shameful, they're still great. Yeah, we love it. All right, guys, thank you again for joining us today. Don't forget to visit peasantsperspective.com. And those of you that are listening this afternoon at 4:30 Pacific Standard Time, and you can figure out what time zone you're in, we are doing the Ignite presentation for 1776 Live. Please consider going to 1776live.us and registering for that webinar. It's right there. Just click register and you'll get a link for this afternoon's presentation. So Ignite presentation for 1776 Live. I'd like to invite all of you to that. All right. And that's it for us on